Introduction. Most people assume that turning 60 means slowing down, settling down, or accepting a weaker version of yourself. But the truth is far more impressive and far more stoic. If you can still do this at 60, you're already stronger than most men alive, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Strength after 60 isn't measured by how much weight you can lift or how fast you can move. It's measured by the discipline you maintain, the wisdom you carry, and the resilience you refuse to let go of. In a world where many men surrender to comfort, excuses, and decline, those who continue to sharpen their mind, strengthen their body, and govern their emotions stand out as rare. You become a man who still chooses challenge over comfort, growth over stagnation, and self-mastery over self-pity. That's what Stoic strength really is. And if you still embody it at 60, you're living proof of what a disciplined life creates. This video reveals the actions, habits, and mindsets that show you're stronger than most men walking the earth today, regardless of your age. If you can still do these things, you haven't just aged, you've evolved. You're a man who refuses to break, refuses to bow, and refuses to quit. You still choose discipline over comfort. There comes a point in life when you realize that comfort, while tempting, has never been the thing that builds you. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it rarely moves you forward. Discipline, on the other hand, is often uncomfortable, inconvenient, and demanding, but it is the only force strong enough to shape your character, elevate your future, and separate you from a version of yourself who settles for less. Choosing discipline over comfort means choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. It means delaying gratification today so you can live a life tomorrow that others only dream about. Even when nobody is watching, even when the rewards are slow, even when progress feels invisible, you still choose discipline because you understand it as a foundation of every meaningful transformation in your life. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is saying no to excuses, even the ones that sound reasonable. It is waking up when your body wants to sleep in, working when you feel uninspired, and pushing forward when your mind whispers, "You can do it later." Discipline is a voice inside you that holds you accountable to the future you want, not the mood you're currently in. Comfort will always offer you an escape, another hour of scrolling, another skipped workout, another postponed goal. But discipline forces you to confront the truth. If you want a different life, you must make different choices. And the most powerful choice you can make is refusing to settle for the easy road. When you choose discipline, you choose growth. Every disciplined decision, even the small, boring ones, adds up. The self-control you build in one area strengthens you in others. You become more resilient, more focused, more capable of handling challenges without falling apart. Discipline rewires your identity. You stop being someone who hopes things will happen and become someone who makes things happen. You feel proud of yourself in a way comfort can never replicate. The temporary pain of discipline is nothing compared to the long-lasting satisfaction of knowing you stayed committed to the person you're becoming. Comfort asks, "What feels good right now?" Discipline asks, "What will matter 5 years from now?" And that difference is everything. Choosing discipline over comfort is also an act of self-respect. It means you refuse to betray your own potential. It means you believe you deserve a better life, and you're willing to work for it. Many people want success, but not everyone is willing to exchange comfort for the habit success requires. When you choose discipline repeatedly, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by impulses, laziness, or excuses. You are driven by purpose, vision, and intentional action. In the end, discipline will give you what comfort never can: confidence, progress, freedom, and a future you are proud of. So keep choosing discipline, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because every disciplined moment is a brick in the foundation of the life you're building. And one day, you will look back and thank yourself for every uncomfortable choice you made. 2, that you can control your emotions instead of reacting. One of the most powerful skills a person can develop, especially in adulthood, is the ability to control their emotions instead of reacting impulsively. Life will always present situations that provoke anger, frustration, disappointment, or fear. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. This is a foundation of emotional strength, maturity, and inner resilience. When you learn to pause before reacting, you reclaim your power. When you choose a response instead of exploding with the first emotion that hits you, you separate yourself from people who act out of instinct rather than intention. Emotional control is not about suppressing how you feel. It's about creating space between the feeling and the action so you can make a decision grounded in clarity rather than chaos. Most people react instantly because they let their emotions become the driver instead of the passenger. They hear something offensive and snap back. They face a setback and immediately panic. They feel insecure and start arguments to protect their ego. The problem is that these impulsive reactions usually create more problems than the original issue. Think about how many conflicts, broken relationships, and bad decisions happen simply because someone couldn't control their emotional impulse. True strength lies in saying, "I feel this emotion, but I will not let it dictate my behavior." That is the difference between people who are controlled by their emotions and people who control their emotions. You develop emotional control through awareness. When something triggers you, your mind and body signal it. Your heart rate rises, your thoughts speed up, your muscles tighten. Most people let these sensations push them into immediate action. But emotionally strong people pause. They breathe. They observe what they are feeling without letting it explode outward. That pause, just a few seconds, can prevent a lifetime of regret. It gives you enough space to ask, is this worth reacting to? What outcome do I want? Will this reaction help or harm me? When you consistently choose thoughtful responses over destructive reactions, you build a habit of emotional mastery. Another key to emotional control is understanding that emotions are temporary. What feels intense right now will soften later. A controlled person knows that decisions made in emotional storms rarely lead to good outcomes. So instead of reacting, they wait until the emotional wave passes. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means respecting them without letting them take charge. With practice, you start recognizing patterns, what triggers you, what drains you, and what calms you. You adapt, you strengthen, you grow.
Ultimately, controlling your emotions is an act of self-respect. It shows that you value your peace more than winning an argument, proving a point, or reacting to every provocation. It protects your relationships, your reputation, and your mental health. And most importantly, it gives you the confidence that no matter what life throws at you, you can handle it with clarity and strength. Emotional control is not just a skill, it's a form of freedom. 3. You continue to learn and grow. One of the most powerful truths about human potential is that growth does not end with age, success, or failure. You continue to learn and grow not because life demands it, but because your mind is wired for it. Every experience, whether joyful or painful, carries the seeds of new understanding. Many people fall into the trap of believing that personal development is something reserved for the young, or that after a certain stage in life, they've already become who they are. But the reality is far richer. Growth is lifelong, and the ability to evolve is one of the greatest advantages you will ever have. Continuing to learn keeps your mind open, flexible, and resilient. When you seek new knowledge through reading, observing, or challenging your assumptions, you give yourself the gift of adaptability. This adaptability becomes a shield against stagnation and a compass that guides you through uncertainty. Learning also expands your perspective, allowing you to see people, situations, and even yourself in ways you didn't before. With each new insight, you gain a deeper understanding of how the world works and how you can move within it more effectively. Growth also shows up in the way you handle challenges. Problems that once overwhelmed you begin to feel manageable because you've developed better emotional tools. You're able to pause instead of panic, reflect instead of react. You start recognizing patterns, what drains you, what motivates you, what your strengths are, and where your weaknesses quietly hide. This self-awareness becomes a powerful engine for improvement. You learn to make wiser decisions not because life becomes easier, but because you become more skilled at navigating it. Another important part of continuing to grow is embracing humility. The moment you believe you know everything is the moment your development stops. True growth happens when you admit there is always more to learn about relationships, about discipline, about resilience, about yourself. Humility opens the door to curiosity, and curiosity makes life richer. When you remain curious, even ordinary experiences reveal lessons that help you evolve. Growth is also deeply tied to courage. It takes courage to step outside your comfort zone, challenge limiting beliefs, let go of old habits, or start something new. Each time you stretch beyond what feels familiar, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you once believed. This builds confidence, not the loud, fragile kind, but a quiet, grounded belief in your ability to adapt, improve, and overcome. You continue to learn and grow because life keeps presenting opportunities to reinvent yourself. Every year, every season, every challenge gives you the chance to deepen your wisdom, strengthen your character, and align your actions with the person you want to become. Growth is not a destination, it's a continuous journey. And the more you embrace it, the more powerful, capable, and fulfilled you become. You take responsibility for your life. One of the greatest signs of maturity, strength, and inner power is the moment you finally take full responsibility for your life. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything that has ever gone wrong, nor does it mean carrying the world on your shoulders. It means recognizing, with complete honesty, that your choices, your mindset, and your actions are the primary factors shaping your destiny. When you take responsibility, you shift from being a passive passenger to the driver of your own existence. Instead of seeing life as something that happens to you, you begin to realize that life responds to you, your discipline, your habits, your reactions, and your willingness to grow. Many people spend their lives waiting for circumstances to change, for someone to save them, or for luck to finally arrive. But the men and women who thrive at any age, especially later in life, do so because they stop waiting. They understand that no one is coming to rescue them. They take responsibility for their finances, their health, their relationships, and their emotional stability. They stop pointing fingers and start asking better questions. What can I learn from this? What can I do differently? How can I improve myself? This mindset is liberating because it places the power back in your hands. When you stop blaming others, you reclaim control over your future. Taking responsibility also requires courage. It means confronting your shortcomings without ego, acknowledging your mistakes without excuses, and owning the consequences of past decisions. But instead of dwelling on regret, responsible individuals turn mistakes into fuel for growth. They use adversity as a sharpening stone. They do not let past failures define them, they let those failures refine them. They stand in front of the mirror and say, everything in my life is either a result of my actions or a challenge I have the strength to change. That level of honesty and accountability builds mental resilience, emotional clarity, and inner confidence. Another component of responsibility is consistency. It's not enough to recognize what needs to be done, you must follow through. True responsibility shows up in your daily routines, waking up on time, prioritizing your goals, managing your energy, investing in meaningful relationships, and doing the work even when no one is watching. You stop expecting others to fix what you consistently neglect. Instead, you cultivate habits that align with the life you want to live. Responsibility transforms you from a reactor into a creator. Ultimately, taking responsibility is an act of empowerment. It frees you from victimhood and self-pity. It strengthens your sense of purpose. It reminds you that you have agency, choice, and influence over the direction of your life. When you accept responsibility, you stop negotiating with your excuses and start building the life you truly deserve. And once you embrace this truth, nothing and no one can take your power away again. 5. You keep your body moving. Many people believe strength fades inevitably with age, but the truth is far more empowering. The men who remain strong, capable, and confident into their 60s and beyond are the ones who simply keep their bodies moving. Movement is not just a physical habit, it's a philosophy, a way of resisting decline, of choosing vitality over passivity. When you keep your body active, you're doing more than maintaining muscle, you're signaling to your mind and spirit that you are still engaged with life. You refuse to slow down mentally, emotionally, or physically. Daily movement, even the simplest forms like walking, safeguards independence, capability, and dignity. By staying active, you become the kind of man who doesn't need to rely on others for simple tasks, who can carry groceries, climb stairs, handle physical work, and enjoy the world without fear of injury. While many men your age surrender to excuses, I'm too old, I'm slowing down, my body isn't what it used to be, you choose a different path. You choose momentum. Your body responds to what you consistently ask it to do, And when you keep it moving, it adapts, strengthens, and supports you. Even on days when you don't feel motivated, choosing small actions creates long-term rewards, faster recovery, improved balance, better mood, sharper thinking, and a sense of control over your own life. Movement also connects you to purpose. It reminds you that age doesn't define you, your habits do. A strong man at 60 isn't someone with perfect genetics or a soft life. He's someone who made a commitment to stay active when others gave up. And there's wisdom in that. The body is meant to move. Stillness is what ages us. Motion is what keeps us alive. When you keep your body moving, you protect your future self from unnecessary suffering. You extend your years, but more importantly, you improve the quality of those years. You become an example, someone younger men look up to and older men wish they had become. You show that discipline, persistence, and daily effort can transform aging from something feared into something mastered. So keep walking, keep stretching, keep lifting, keep moving. Every step you take is a message to your body that you are not done yet. You're still in the fight, still capable, still strong. And that commitment makes you stronger than most men alive. 6. You can endure pain without complaining. One of the greatest measures of a person's strength is not how loudly they can speak, but how quietly they can endure. The ability to face pain, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, without constant complaint is a rare discipline in the modern world, yet it is one of the most profound indicators of inner maturity. When you choose to endure pain silently, you're not ignoring your suffering, nor are you pretending to be invincible. Instead, you are exercising self-control, protecting your peace, and refusing to let discomfort dictate your attitude. Complaining drains your energy, magnifies your suffering, and invites negativity, while endurance builds resilience and sharpens mental toughness. It teaches you that discomfort is often temporary, but the strength you gain from surviving it lasts a lifetime. People who endure pain without complaining often understand that not every struggle needs an audience and not every setback deserves a dramatic reaction. They recognize that life will always present challenges, loss, heartbreak, aging, disappointment, failures, and that learning to sit with these experiences calmly gives them a quiet advantage. Stoic individuals don't deny their pain, they process it, carry it with dignity, and allow it to teach them rather than break them. Endurance also builds character by helping you separate what is within your control from what isn't. Instead of wasting time seeking sympathy or venting frustrations, you focus on solutions, personal responsibility, and emotional neutrality. You learn to rise above irritation and avoid the trap of becoming defined by your suffering. Complaining often keeps you stuck in the same cycle, but endurance moves you forward because it forces you to confront and accept reality. Over time, this discipline builds self-respect. When you know you can handle pain privately, you no longer fear life's hardships. You become stronger, more independent, and less reactive. People around you begin to sense this calm, controlled presence, and it naturally earns respect. Enduring pain in silence doesn't mean isolating yourself or refusing help when necessary. It simply means you choose to face your battles with composure instead of dramatizing them. You don't use pain as a weapon, an excuse, or a performance. You turn it into fuel for growth. And perhaps most importantly, this quiet endurance shifts your perspective. You start seeing pain as a teacher, not an enemy. When you can endure without complaining, you prove to yourself that your spirit is stronger than your circumstances, your discipline is greater than your discomfort, and your mind is powerful enough to lead you through any storm. In a world addicted to attention and validation, the ability to suffer with strength, grace, and silence is a superpower that will set you apart. 7. You protect your peace. One of the most powerful signs of maturity is understanding that protecting your peace is not a luxury. It's a responsibility. It's the foundation of emotional resilience, maturity, and true self-respect. When you honor your own peace, you show the world how you expect to be treated, and more importantly, you show yourself who you are becoming. 8. You live with purpose, not regret. Living with purpose instead of regret means choosing to design your life with intention rather than drifting through it only to look back wishing you had acted differently. It begins with recognizing that every moment you experience, every conversation, decision, risk, and opportunity is a chance to shape the story you'll one day tell yourself. People who live with purpose don't wait for the right time, because they understand that time doesn't slow down for anyone. Instead, they align their daily actions with the values and goals that matter most to them. They are not perfect, nor do they avoid mistakes, but they treat mistakes as teachers instead of anchors. Living with purpose requires a willingness to be honest about what you want from life, whether it's deeper relationships, better health, meaningful work, or personal peace, and then taking small, deliberate steps toward those desires every day. Regret grows in the spaces where action should have been, so people who live with purpose prioritize courage over comfort, knowing that comfort rarely leads to growth. They say what needs to be said instead of letting words rot inside them. They try what scares them instead of letting fear dictate who they become. They invest in relationships that nurture their spirit and walk away from those that drain their energy. Purpose-driven living also means being present, noticing the people around you, appreciating small joys, and understanding that happiness is often found in the simple choices you make repeatedly over time. Instead of constantly replaying the past, you focus on the present and shape a future you can be proud of. You accept responsibility for your actions rather than blaming circumstances or waiting for someone to rescue you. Purpose is not about having a perfect plan, it is about moving forward with clarity, authenticity, and commitment even when the road is uncertain. Regret, on the other hand, comes from ignoring your inner voice, staying silent when you should speak, delaying when you should act, or holding back when you should give your full self to something meaningful. When you live with purpose, you don't allow fear, doubt, or the opinions of others to control your decisions. You wake up each day asking how you can contribute, grow, and make your life more aligned with your deepest truths. And at the end of each day, you feel a quiet sense of peace because you know you showed up for your life, not just watched it pass. You understand that fulfillment isn't measured by how much you have but by how deeply and intentionally you live. Ultimately, living with purpose means creating a life that leaves no room for "I wish I had," and instead fills your journey with "I'm grateful I did." It is the commitment to becoming the version of yourself who acts, learns, loves, and evolves so that when you look back years from now, you see not regret, but a life lived fully and deliberately.